Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3. It has been now implemented. It's a law now in Zimbabwe. Now, General Chiwenga safe at the moment. And not only retired General Chiwenga, but other retired military personnel, as well as senior members of the military, particularly if they are non-war veterans, and played an instrumental role in 2017. Now, why are they a threat? It's quite simple. If they are still in the military, Mnangagwa cannot make the envisaged promotions in the military by actually bypassing them. They will begin to develop resentment. They will try by all means to oppose any changes that he tries to do. So what are the possible projects that Mnangagwa will specifically do to the retired generals, including retired General Chiwenga and also retired General Mchena? I'm quite sure when they decided to take on Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, they understood very, very well that he is a man who cannot forgive, and he is a man his only way of dealing with enemies is to get rid of them. Greetings and welcome to your lovely channel, the Hlonipani Global News. If you are watching us for the very first time, please do remember to press the red or black subscribe button so that next time when we beam live, you become the very first one to watch us. So before even Chivero spoke about, in the last live broadcast, spoke about the firing of retired General Chiwenga, how Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa has strategically planned it so that you would not see him coming after him. And also remember, I've spoken long time ago that Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa wanted to hide the Munu Mutapa title. He is not part of the lineage of the Munu Mutapa title, but there is a fellow who is a relative of Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa. At the moment, he is calling himself a Munu Mutapa. There are papers that are being made on the other side by this fellow. He wants to turn Zimbabwe into a Munu Mutapa kingdom, all the state institutions to be aligned, and the constitution is being prepared. Don't ever think that that individual is working on isolation. That is why you see the state institutions in Zimbabwe, they always rule in favor of him. He is recognized as a king. That guy is temporarily holding that for Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa. Now, according to Knox Chivero, in a few days, he revealed that Mnangagwa is in fact intending to actually fire retired General Chiwenga by everyone who is within his cabinet to dissolve his cabinet. He's planning to dissolve his cabinet, and when he dissolves the cabinet, he knows that the last person to act as the vice president of Zimbabwe is Kembo Mohati. Kembo Mohati has been twerking for the 2030 term extension. So Kembo Mohati would act as the president, paving way for the wife of Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa. According to the initial plan, this was supposed to be done and dusted by the 31st of this month. We wait to see now that the plot was actually publicized. But let me tell you one thing. With Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa is a man who is not shy and too shy to do the worst. We were all Zimbabweans from the past years thinking that no, Mnangagwa is after extending his term of office with 2 years. Why do you think that he needs just an additional 2 years? And then what after 2 years? There is absolutely nothing like that. It was meant to deceive the people of Zimbabwe. Now, that was meant also to drum up support, to say, even to the Charles, they would say, just 2 years. It's nothing, man. You can wait for 2 years. Then afterwards, you take over. But within that 2 years, Mnangagwa is aiming at something to consolidate power, especially within the military. At the moment, he has power politically, but he cannot control the military. That is why you see some retired generals and some senior civil servants in Zimbabwe actually issuing retaliatory statements regarding the constitutional amendment bill number 3 of 2026. It is because his control in the military is shaky. They are people more senior even than Emerson Mnangagwa in the military. And some of them have seen their coffins on a weekly basis being actually buried at the National Heroes Acre. And obviously, I've dealt with who exactly may be behind this, and it's public knowledge and common cause. The alarming rate at which the military personnel, as well as retired generals, are dying on a weekly basis. Maybe as I'm speaking, someone already is about to meet his creator. And these cannot be natural deaths. As I keep on saying, there are too many to be natural deaths. Someone is up to something. So we heard that Mnangagwa from Knox Chivero was intending at elevating the wife and then dissolve his cabinet. If he dissolves his cabinet, Chiwenga has been fired. Now, if Chiwenga has been fired after they allow Kembo Mohati to act, they will continue doing background. Already they have done background work. Parliamentarians have been offered money. Parliamentarians would actually be voting for the next president after the dissolution of the cabinet of Emerson Mnangagwa. And when that is eventually done, the voting will favor definitely the wife of Emerson Mnangagwa if there is no opposition. And Mnangagwa appears to have prepared for this. That is why you saw him going to Belarus. It wasn't just a social visit. It was for this period in time we are in. He understood that there may be retaliation and he needs trained personnel and most probably mercenaries to assist him in this endeavor. From the look of things, he doesn't want to leave anything to chances. That is why he is actually and what has been spoken, if Cap 3 was actually spoken about as something that he intends to do, and he was publicly denying. And some of us, we want that people may read what he is saying as public denial, but those who are wise enough, he is not denying that he wants to extend his term of office. In fact, when he eventually does it, he would say, he will interpret his statements that you thought were denials in another manner. They are now doing. Mnangagwa used to say, I'm a constitutionalist. When my time comes to go, I will definitely go home. He did not specify when. People would just guess. And when he's asked, so in 2028, said, when my time comes, he would not mention 2028. He would say he is a constitutionalist. Now, even today, he can say, no, I am a constitutionalist. The people of Zimbabwe gave me more time. We know that there is no one in Zimbabwe who wanted Mnangagwa to be president, even in 2017. So he would say, people gave me actually a mandate. They still feel I should continue being the president of Zimbabwe. You hear these days, he is saying this is not an individualistic approach. This is a collective view of his party. And they have begun to preach this, that party supersedes government. What the party says must be followed by the government. And 2030, Mnangagwa was giving drugs to the youth so that they sing loud about this. And everyone was focused on, maybe they are just going to enact an act that will only change the constitution to extend the term of office of Mnangagwa. Zimbabweans were shocked to learn that it was not about that. Mnangagwa was changing the entire constitution of 2013. We no longer have the constitution of 2013. Today I was listening to the state propaganda, that is the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation. They are already talking about implementing this act that was a bill some few days ago. They are already in the implementation phase. So that tells you something. I heard today the Registrar General's office commenting that it is ready to take over the registration of actually voters from the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission. You can see already these people, the framework was worked on a long time before even this CAP 3 or the Breaking Barriers initiative came to life. And we were covering it, trying to awaken the people of Zimbabwe. And these people, they experiment, they have passed this bill, generals have spoken, but no action to stop that. So they continue to say, oh, they are just speaking. They don't have, from the look of things, they are weak. And now they will continue. They spoke, the Chiwenga faction warned Zimbabweans about Mnangagwa firing Chiwenga. Don't ever think Mnangagwa will say, because you have warned Zimbabweans, I'm going to stop that. We warned about CAP 3 long time ago, but Mnangagwa eventually went ahead and implemented the illegal constitutional amendment bill number 3, and now it is an act, which means the constitution has already changed. We no longer have the constitution. What is just left in that constitution is the Bill of Rights. But the Bill of Rights, if it was working, Mnangagwa could not have actually changed the constitution in a manner he did. So definitely what we are about to witness, as painful as it may, it is actually Zimbabwe being transformed from a pseudo republic. I say a pseudo because it hasn't been a real republic in form, because ZANU-PF has been rigging elections. That is why it has stayed in power for this long. So you cannot say then it's a real republic. This fake republic that has existed from 1980 up to today, Mnangagwa wants to change it now to be a fully fledged monarch. Remember, ZANU-PF, from the onset, they wanted to establish what is called a one-party state. They want to be like China, whereby the party that is governing China at the moment wins elections with not less than 80%, 90%, just like what happens with the likes of Putin. Putin, there is no opposition there. The real opposition leader, they killed him. They killed him, and no one can say a thing. So that is where Emmerson Mnangagwa wants to take Zimbabweans to. Unfortunately, in Zimbabwe, we are relaxed. Sometimes I wonder, like someone does something today, like last month, CAP 3 was passed. On the 7th, it was signed into law. Opposition political leaders says they are going to demonstrate on the 31st. What is that nonsense? To me, it is really, really nonsense. Someone wrongs you today, you say, no, I'm going to give you 20 days or 30 days to retaliate. And you think that retaliation, the real retaliation, that will actually bring changes in Zimbabwe. If ever a retaliation will bring change, it would be a retaliation that is not planned. it will be a retaliation that is not dated, where you cannot give it and say on the 31st, everyone on the streets. We have, walked that road before. When you do so, if Mnangagwa days, you prepare him to actually prepare his security. You prepare him to actually begin to arrest those who are speaking about that, target leaders who are opposed to him. You prepare. Look, when Blessed Geza revolution started, that's why that man gave us a model that could shake Mnangagwa. That's why he delayed this act with a year until he died. He never wanted to live to see Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa doing the nonsense that he is. And I dare that if Blessed Geza was here, that would never be happening at the moment. That's why some of us, we supported Blessed Geza because of his strategies. They were very, very effective. At this moment, you will remember him. And at some point, we supported him, seeing that even the people behind him were seemingly depicting some form of betrayal at some stage. But we supported that man. We showed him that we were behind him. Why? Because his strategies were working. Blessed Geza would not wait for Mnangagwa to do something. He would call for a strike. Whether Zimbabweans responded in their overwhelming numbers or the Mnangagwa quashed it, but that man, it was urgent. When Mnangagwa, when he noticed something was about to be done, he will actually address Zimbabweans and actually push for a protest. That we saw it being effective because Mnangagwa was not even given a chance. He didn't see Blessed Geza coming. In a manner, he came after him. That is why at some point, Camp 3, Mnangagwa had began, was it March last year, had began even to, there were songs which were played on ZPC, Camp 3 songs and stuff. When Blessed Geza came, ZPC stopped playing that nonsense. Mnangagwa and ZANU-PF was in a state of panic. It was at standstill because it was just spontaneous, the way he came through. And he saw him, he was supported by groups of war veterans such as Knox Chivero and others. I can tell you that shook Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa. We saw all the 2030 East seemingly going underground, and they had to talk after some time. That is why Mnangagwa retaliated in such a manner against Blessed Geza, sent the state machinery to destroy the property of Blessed Geza, because he realized that that man was a real deal. Unfortunately, as Zimbabweans, we did not protect that man. We did not actually fully give support to that man the way he deserved it. You know, you cannot, I will repeat it again, there can never be an effective protest that you give the enemy more than 20 days to prepare. And you tell him, no, we will be doing this by this time. And you expect him not to be prepared to quash you before even that time. Like the 31st protest, guys, it's a joke. I would have understood someone who would say, okay, tomorrow we are protesting, announcing something that is starting tomorrow. They were supposed to wait maybe until the 30th. You know, the thing with the opposition, so we need to, things have to be planned properly. Things have to, people should not be moved by emotions. You need the protest effective ones, they need a strategy. You strategize secretly so. And when you come out announcing, you're announcing that it has already started. You're getting the sense. Everything that is given as a deadline, you saw even in South Africa where protests are effective. The way others, of course, the way others were speaking about, was it 30th June protest? It was as if, you know, it's going to be, of course, fear drove a lot of foreign nationals out of that particular country, and we saw the government acting, and it is acting even up to today, but not to the extent it was expected and anticipated. So protest that you give the government ample time to plan around making sure that your protest would be manipulated or they would be infiltrated, they will never work. So if there is no action against Mnangagwa, I can attest to you that he will turn Zimbabwe into a kingdom. His wife would be the president, and while working to be a king and preparing his children to take over from him. And the military generals who are still remaining thinking they are safe, he is even those ones who are actually protecting him at the moment, they will follow one after another. I think whoever thought that Mnangagwa would be doing what he is doing to Chiwenga and others after the role they played in 2017, this is a man that cannot be trusted. Thank you very much for watching us. If you're watching us for the very first time, please do remember to press the red or black subscribe button so that next time when we beam live, you become the very first one to watch us. You can financially support this channel by pressing the join button and be part of our members who are the heartbeat of this channel. You can equally do so by pressing the thanks button and send us stars. Okangubu Mhlabane is signing out. Let me love leave you. Let's meet on the other side of the live broadcast.